Another preseason is in the books, and we have finally reached the beginning of a new football season. The new-look Steelers head to Atlanta for a date against the Falcons to open up the 2024 season. We have the latest coming up from Georgia next as you are watching Steelers Kickoff. It's live right here on KDKA TV.
Welcome to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
You are looking live at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Russell Wilson is out there throwing the ball around, and of course this is the site of the season opener for the Steelers as they take on the Falcons. You can also call it the Arthur Smith Bowl. 1 o'clock kickoff right around the corner. Glad you chose to start your day with us here on our Game Day Report. And welcome inside the KDKA TV studios for another edition of BetMGM Steelers Kickoff. Bob Pompeani here. Rich Walsh and Jerry Dulac will be around shortly. But as always, I'm flanked by the quarterback of the program, Mr. Charlie Batch. And here we go. It's a new season, a whole new look for the Steelers. I know you're ready to roll with this one.
Absolutely. This is the best part of the year as we start the NFL season, so it's always a great time to be sitting here next to you, Bob.
All right, here we go, Charlie. You know, the preseason did not reveal too much, although throughout it we learned that Russell Wilson was dealing with that calf injury, which seemed to respond to the point where he could play in the preseason and was expected to be the quarterback one. But some doubt was cast on his availability Thursday after Wilson retweaked his calf injury in practice. The team decided to put him on the injury report and would wait to make the decision about his availability this morning. It's still playing out. Most media analysts doubt that Wilson will be able to go today, but we will see. Meanwhile, after a training camp and preseason where we saw Justin Fields take most of the first-team reps, he stepped in, he took them, he practiced pretty much as this week unfolded once Wilson had another injury to that same calf, or at least got retweaked. Fields, who's actually 9 months younger than Kenny Pickett, is a veteran in this league, and at this point, he's always ready to be in there as his number is called as a starter. He says he's prepped this week like he usually does before a game with a chance to show what he has on the field.
The same process, every week, because I learned my rookie year how, fast things can change. I remember my third game, rookie season, Andy Dalton, he was just running out of bounds. Looked like a normal play, and he tweaked his knee, and then right then and there I was in. So, I always prepare like I'm a starter, and like I said before, you just never know what can happen.
All right, here is a look at Justin Fields and his career stats to this point. 38 starts, over 6,600 yards, a completion percentage over 60. He also has 2,000 rushing yards plus while throwing 40 touchdowns to 30 interceptions. And Charlie, we're getting reports from Ian Rappaport and others down there that it looks like Justin Fields will be starting, not Russell Wilson, which is pretty much what you expected. So it's the first opportunity to have our quarterback analysis segment brought to you by Cleveland Brothers. And we saw a lot of Justin Fields in the preseason, some good, some bad. What do you expect today from him?
Yeah, I mean, for him to go into training camp, this was a guy who actually was starting and running the majority of the reps with the first team unit. He just didn't have that opportunity in the preseason as he was working with the backup. So now here he has the opportunity. He knew early enough possibly that he was going to start. So as he works his way into this starting lineup, it's an opportunity to prove not only that he can move this offense, and that's why the preseason is important, because the guys who are watching, now he has to go out there and lead. So it's going to be important. I look forward. I'm excited to see him do his job.
Lots of athleticism to be sure. And for more on the Steelers quarterback situation heading into this game, we send it down to Rich Walsh with Post-Gazette Steelers insider Jerry Dulac of the Post-Gazette.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. Russell Wilson was out here for pregame warm-ups, and that was the biggest topic this entire week, Jerry, the quarterback situation. What happened? What's the timeline? What's going on with Russell Wilson's calf right now?
You know, Rich, sometime after Thursday morning's walkthrough when he ran with the first-team offense and before Thursday afternoon's practice, his calf that he injured in training camp began to tighten up again, and it started causing him pain, and that's why he didn't practice Thursday and Friday. Friday night, I was told by his people that there was a 75-25% chance that he wasn't going to play. And then last night, those same people told me there was a 1 in 10 chance he would play. He really wants to play. He did treatment last night after he got here. He did treatment again this morning. But I think the Steelers obviously want to be very, very cautious with this injury.
All right, the other big storyline, boy, they waited till the very end to get the Pat Freiermuth deal done, but they got it done. How important is he to this offense moving forward?
You know, Rich, they did Cam Hayward's deal earlier in the week, and the timeline with Pat Freiermuth is what I expected. And I thought it would be a deal where it averaged around $10 million a year, and that's what it is. You know what, good for him, and they wanted to make sure this guy didn't become an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year.
Arthur Smith coming back to a place he was the head coach for the last 3 years, got fired this offseason, now with the Steelers. You know, I don't know if this is a revenge game type game for him. Maybe it is. It's not a huge storyline, but him coming back here, who has the advantage with that?
You know, Rich, it's not a huge storyline, but I will tell you this, in these types of games, those types of coaches, especially coordinators, have a way of not so much of getting their players up for this game, but I think the players get themselves up to support their coach. They really like Arthur Smith. He's a likable guy. Of course, he's well respected. So I think amongst the players, they want to play for him. So if there is an advantage, I think it leans that way for the Steelers, actually.
All right, thanks a lot, Jerry. As always, great stuff. Back to you guys.
All right, Rich, Jerry, thanks very much. And Charlie, what do you make of the Arthur Smith angle here against his old team when it comes to intel? From your perspective, who has the advantage?
Yeah, you know this game matters to Arthur Smith, but I think ultimately, he's not playing in this game. Is he familiar with that roster? Yes, he is, but ultimately there is a new defensive coordinator, new coaching staff down in Atlanta, so that's not going to play to his advantage. But I promise you, the players are not looking to make sure that they, hopefully bring this win home for Arthur Smith because it's a big deal to him.
All right, we're just getting started here on Steelers Kickoff. Up next, new Steelers radio voice Rob King sits down with linebacker Alex Highsmith. Keep it locked right here on KDKA TV.
Welcome back to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
Well, you know the Steelers' defense is anchored by the elite play of T.J. Watt, but some may forget about the equally strong play from the opposite edge rusher. Alex Highsmith is making a name for himself on this unit, and new Steelers play-by-play man Rob King sat down with him earlier this week.
34 to go. Shotgun snap. Browning back. Steps up in the pocket. Fires a pass down the middle. Intercepted! Alex Highsmith ranging back. Dove and caught that ball in front of.
Okay, Alex, first of all, how did the team defense respond, do you think, in camp and then leading up to this first game against the Falcons?
Yeah, I'm just excited for what we're going to do in week one. I think we had a really good preseason, really good OTAs, really good camp, and so it's just awesome to see these guys, see all of us gelling together, and so I'm just excited to see what we do.
Mike Tomlin saw no need to get certain guys out there during the preseason, yourself, T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward. So this provides opportunities for young guys. Nick Herbig, who made some splash last year, had a really, really impressive preseason.
Yeah, and we all knew who he was going to. These guys coming into year two now, and so he's, just like his brother said, he's a stud. And when he came in last year, he's making plays, making splash plays for us. And so I'm just excited to see what he does for us this year. And I think the three of us are just going to make a lot of noise this year, so I'm really excited for it.
Going into year 5 yourself, what are you looking for? What are your own personal expectations?
Yeah, just to be better just than everything that I was last year. And ultimately the main goal is to win the Super Bowl. So whatever I can do to help this team get to that, that's my goal. And just feel I've gotten faster and stronger this offseason. And so just working on my moves and refining those. So I'm looking forward to just going out there and stepping on the field and showing what I've been working for.
Atlanta made a lot of moves in the offseason. You're going down on the road to face them to start the 2024 season. What are your thoughts about the Falcons?
Yeah, they're a good team. They got a lot of new guys. They got Kirk Cousins in free agency, and also drafted some guys as well. And so it's going to be a tough game, but I'm looking forward to it. I know Steel Nation is going to be showing out and showing up for that game, and so it's definitely going to be a tough game, but it's going to be a fun one. Everyone's good in this league, and so you just got to bring your A game every time, and so we got to do that going into Atlanta. So I can't wait for that matchup.
And you will see it coming up today. And thanks to Steelers Media Production for that sit down. And it's time to take a look at the Hyundai by the numbers for Alex Highsmith over the last 2 seasons. You can see in 34 starts, he accumulated 21.5 sacks, nearly 40 quarterback hits, 7 forced fumbles. Impressive stuff from an edge rusher. So Charlie, let's talk about that. 2 years ago, his numbers were really outstanding, but last year they kind of dipped. So what do you expect from Alex Highsmith this year.
Yeah, like you said, 2 years ago, 14.5 sacks, but last year he battled some injuries and they were lingering throughout the season. But now he is healthy. He looks stronger. You heard him talk about how quick he worked on the quickness during the offseason. So if he can get that element back to it, that's going to complement TJ Watt, because you know he's going to command a double team, freeing the one-on-one for Alex to do what he's capable of doing, and that's rushing the quarterback.
And the Steelers are obviously stacked at that position. Highsmith is primed for a good year, as we've stated. Obviously, TJ Watt's going to be a Player of the Year candidate again, and they even have a guy who might be a starter on any other team, Nick Herbig. So how can you see more snap usage for him this year?
Yeah, Nick is working his tail off, and this is a guy that really worked on his craft throughout the offseason, getting better from year 1 to year 2. And what better way to do that when you're learning from TJ and Alex in front of you? So they're working on ways to get him in part of it, but the way that the NFL now is going, pass structure-wise, there may be more opportunities for him to get on the field as a third pass rusher.
He's making it tough on the coaches. There's no question about that. Up next, we head back down to Atlanta. Rich Walsh is live with a preview of the Falcons newly constructed. You're watching Steelers Kickoff right here, live, KDKA TV.
Steelers Nation. It's that time again. The season is here. The roster is set.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are cooking.
Steeler football is back.
There's a certain identity we want to have.
Ready or not, the regular season's coming.
They gotta add some music to that.
I think we see a different Steelers team this year for sure.
The Steelers are going to be the most physical offense in the league.
We ready to make an entrance.
I do think the Steelers make waves in the AFC North.
Oh, they're making noise.
The journey starts now.
Oh, that's Angry Man football.
Football is our game. Our business is winning.
Making the play of the day.
And we're going to handle business.
That is a physical statement that the Steelers are sending to the rest of the NFL.
Here we go.
All right, everybody's ready for another game day, week 1 of the NFL season. And here's another look from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, site of the Steelers and Falcons, 1 p.m. this afternoon. And, you know, we've talked a lot about the amount of change that's taken place on the Steelers side of the football so far, but the Atlanta Falcons have made major changes of their own. And Rich Walsh is live once again in Atlanta with all those details. Rich?
Bob, you definitely have to give the NFL schedule makers some credit here for adding intrigue at the beginning of the Steelers season, especially with these first 2 games. Russell Wilson going back to Denver in that Week 2 matchup, but here to start the season, a revenge game for offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. If nothing else, the Arthur Smith era in Atlanta was consistent. In all 3 seasons as Falcons head coach, Smith finished exactly 7-10. After he was let go this offseason, Mike Tomlin quickly snapped him up as the Steelers OC, and today he will face many of the same players he coached last year.
And this is Robinson. Whoa! Will move, makes a man miss.
But much like his new team, the Falcons completely overhauled their quarterback room since last season. They brought in Kirk Cousins as their starter and surprisingly drafted Michael Penix in the first round. Now, over 2 career starts against the Steelers, Cousins has had mixed results. He's averaged over 250 yards passing per game, but he also threw 4 interceptions against just 2 touchdown passes. Today, Cousins will certainly have weapons to throw to. The Falcons have top 10 overall picks at running back, wide receiver, and tight end. But it remains to be seen how he'll gel with this group because he didn't take a single snap during their preseason games. On defense, Atlanta looked pretty soft until just a few weeks ago when they added both edge rusher Matthew Judon and safety Justin Simmons. Judon seems to be especially important for a defense that ranked in the bottom half of the league last year in both sacks and passing yards allowed. Finally, when it comes to overall importance, this game probably means more for the Falcons when it comes to getting off to a good start. Over the next 2 weeks, they head to Philly before hosting the Chiefs in Week 3. Taking a look at today's South College game plan, these numbers bode very well for the Steelers when it comes to this series. They've won 15 of 18, 8 of the past 10 down here in Georgia. And Mike Tomlin has never lost to the Falcons, although many of those games have been very, very close. The last time the Steelers lost to the Falcons was back in 2006, an overtime loss. They've won 4 straight against the Falcons, including the last one, which was back in 2022, a 1916 win by the Steelers. And I expect a similar type score here today, low scoring in this one. Back to you guys.
Rich, thank you very much. So, Charlie, Mike Tomlin does well in these openers. His record pretty much matches his overall record. As a player, What did he focus on, or what was the reason he's had success in these first games?
Yeah, he always talked about getting off to a fast start, but when you start on the road in week one, he makes everybody understand this is a business trip. Yeah, regardless of what city you're going to, the fans are enjoying themselves because it's a fun city to hang out in, but we're here to handle business, and that's why he always talks about football is the game, our business is winning, and players respond to that, and that's why you see in the season openers that players take that a little bit more serious.
All righty, now it's time to send this program to New York City. Our good friend James Brown is standing by with what's coming up today on the new NFL Today on CBS. JB.
Hey, Bob, up next on the NFL Today, we've got a new member joining our NFL Today family. We'll be welcoming the former league MVP. That will be Matt Ryan to the crew. J.J. Watt enlists some help from you, the fans, as we play a little game of What's on Your Mind. Then Tua Tagovailoa chops it up with teammates Teron Armstead and Austin Jackson, that ahead of their season opener. And later, we'll break down the matchup between the Raiders and the Chargers. But first, Coach's guys, Bob and Charlie, they'll return to Steelers Kickoff after this.
Steelers Kickoff is presented by Ford. The Ford F-150 is the official truck of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the best-selling truck in Pittsburgh.
And welcome back. Week number 1, Steelers Kickoff show. Joey Porter Jr. was happy to follow his dad's footsteps and play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Plenty of pressure was on this rookie last season. And boy, he was into the lineup. Once he got in there, he showed he was ready for the big time. Rich Walsh had a chance to talk to him earlier in this week. I'm sure he has high expectations, Rich.
Yeah, in 1 year, Joey Porter Jr. has gone from a rookie to a leader on this defense and a key part of the Steelers defense, usually getting the duty of covering the opposition's #1 receiver. I had a chance to go one-on-one with the Steelers shutdown corner before leaving for Atlanta.
Was this a great situation, you think, for you personally to step into?
Definitely. I'm an at-home kid. I went to high school here. I went to Penn State right up the road, and I got to fall back at home. So it was really just a great turnout overall.
What's it like running out the same tunnel that your dad did, playing for the team that your dad did, growing up and playing for the team that you rooted for?
It's still unreal, it still doesn't sink in until I hear from other people, how crazy it is that you're playing on the same team as your dad was drafted on. So just stuff like that is crazy. When I see mine in his jersey in the stands, it's a cool feeling.
Have you seen both jerseys next to each other?
Yeah, I've seen all types of jerseys. Both jerseys, one was 24 in the front, 55 in the back, just cool stuff like that you really don't see often. It's cool to see.
You guys obviously play different positions, but how much has he helped you throughout your career, high school on up to Penn State, now to the Steelers?
He was just always a great influence to me because he's done it on both levels. He played the sport and he also coached the sport at the highest level. So just getting an insight and his perspective on both sides of it, it really helped my game out. And I just call it the blueprint. I just followed his blueprint.
So do you look forward to the calls before and after the games with him talking to you and critiquing you?
Sometimes, sometimes depending on how I play. But, when you always play good, you always want to hear that feedback from your close ones. So definitely when I'm playing good, I always want to hear that. Even when I'm playing bad, you just got to have those tough conversations and learn from it and move on.
Hey, did you surprise yourself last year what you were able to do? Or, obviously you're a confident kid and had a good year. Was that any of that a surprise, just jumping right in and being able to do what you did?
No, not really. I always had that mindset coming in. I always thought I was the #1 guy coming out of college, and I feel like I had a chip on my shoulder to prove that. So once when they let the leash off and let me really do my thing, it was no going back from there.
And the one thing you have to love about Joey Jr., he exudes confidence just like his dad, and that's exactly what you need playing cornerback in the NFL, guys.
Short memory, too. That's for sure. Thank you, Rich. Charlie, Joey Porter Jr. seemed to meet, or from my perspective, exceed expectations last season. So year number 2, how much activity does he get, or do they throw away from him?
No, I think they throw away from him a little bit, but you still have to test him because he's still young. But for him, the game is slowing down right now. And that's because, #1, the physical ability, he understands it mentally. He understands that defense. And he has a coach at home and his father, Joey Porter Sr., that when they're going through the game plan, it's similar, very similar defense on what he ran years ago. And you can see Joey now elevating into that. Man, it's awesome to watch him, watch it all unfold right in front of your eyes.
It should be an interesting matchup today against Kirk Cousins. Almost out of time here on Steelers Kickoff. When we return, our crew has predictions for today's game. We will be right back with those.
Welcome back to BetMGM Steelers Kickoff.
In case you just joined us, Russell Wilson is the third quarterback today, so technically inactive. Unless the first two go out with injury, he can come in, but don't look for him to play today. Roman Wilson is out. Isaac Seumalo is out. Looks like Spencer Anderson, the 7th-round pick from last year, will play. Logan Lee is also out of this game. Now it's time for predictions, and Rich Walsh, we're going to head back down to Atlanta and get yours first.
Well, I'm going with the Steelers to win the opener here, although I don't think it'll be pretty. Low scoring, 20-17. Steelers win. My major concern, 2 new guys starting up front. We saw those snap issues with Justin Fields in the preseason.
All right, Charlie, you're next. What do you think today?
Yeah, I think this is going to be an ugly game at first to watch, but I think ultimately the Steelers prevail with Justin Fields using his leg and his athleticism to get it done today. Steelers win 23-20.
Jerry Dulac says Steelers. I'm going to go with the Falcons just because I think there's too much chemistry change on that offensive line. I think it's hard to do it against a team like Atlanta. We got today, the NFL Today coming up on KDKA. That follows this show. And then afterwards, it is the Ford Steelers Extra Point on KDKA+. Then the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call Special Steelers Edition. Wrap up tonight with the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. For all of us here, I'm Bob Pompeani. Have a great Steelers Sunday. We'll see you after the game on KDKA+.